Hey everybody, my name is Steve Wright, and I am a huge Quentin Tarantino fan. And in my opinion, I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a cinematic masterpiece. And I think I've cracked the code on what story is being told in the film. The story of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is Rick Dalton becoming a man. Every single scene in the movie is about not being a man, or becoming a man. And let's be clear, the story is Rick's story. And I say story because for me, plot is what happened. Story is more tied to a particular character, our hero, and how that hero grows, changes, or what they learn about themselves after going through their struggle, i.e. the plot.
What's the story?
I haven't finished it yet.
I didn't ask for the whole story. What's the idea of the story?
Confused? Let me say it this way. If you ask 100 people after seeing a movie what that movie was about, pretty much 100 of them are going to tell you about the plot, not the story. So in the movie Gravity, you ask somebody what that movie is about, they'll talk about the plot. That there was an accident in space, and after a harrowing ordeal, Dr. Stone is the lone survivor after somehow managing to make it back to Earth at the end. Nobody is going to tell you the story of Gravity, which is about Dr. Stone getting over her daughter's death and finding a will to live.
What do you miss down there? Is there a Mr. Stone?
No.
Nobody special? Somebody down there looking up, thinking about you. Why?
I had a daughter.
Before the accident, she's like a zombie just going through the motions.
I'm used to a basement lab in a hospital where things fall to the floor. Thank you.
You gotta admit one thing. Can't beat the view. So what do you like about being up here?
The silence. I could get used to it.
But once she's forced to confront death, the space accident, Dr. Stone has to decide once and for all whether or not she wants to live despite the pain of her daughter's death. After seeing the movie Shaun of the Dead, you ask people what that movie's about, and everyone's going to give you some version of the, zombie apocalypse in England. And how our main characters, led by Sean, make their way to the Winchester to be safe. And in the process, Sean's best friend dies, his mom dies, Sean is able to save his girlfriend. All that stuff is plot. Nobody, when asked what Shaun of the Dead is about, will answer with the description of the story, which is about Sean proving to his girlfriend that he's a worthy boyfriend.
Things will be fine, I promise.
You promised you'd stop smoking when I did. You promised you'd go back to the gym. You promised you'd try drinking red wine instead of beer. You promised you'd come on a holiday with me.
Well, we went to Greece, didn't we?
We met in Greece.
That's a rave.
It's just not the same. You promised things would change. You promised you'd get us free cable.
I'm working on that.
Okay.
Well, I can give it smoking. I can give it whenever I want. Look, see? Don't need them. What was the next one?
It's not enough, Sean.
By the end, by becoming a leader and saving her life, Sean is able to prove that he's a worthy mate, and by doing so, he's able to win her back.
Pickle.
Hello, Mum. All right? Everybody okay?
Yeah.
Any sign of John and Bernie?
We haven't seen them.
Check upstairs.
I think it's locked.
What's the phone situation?
Dead, same as the power.
Okay.
Nice of you to join us.
Yeah, well, promised, didn't I?
Now you may be thinking story and plot seem pretty similar. Well, they are. They work hand in hand. Story couldn't resolve itself without the plot happening. So in Gravity, Dr. Stone wouldn't have the opportunity to find a will to live or get over her daughter's death if the space accident, the plot, didn't happen.
Listen,
Every
you
time,
want to go
but
back
it's
or do you want to stay here? I get it. It's nice up here. You can just shut down all the systems, turn out all the lights, Just close your eyes and tune out everybody. There's nobody up here that can hurt you. It's safe. And what's the point of going on? What's the point of living? Your kid died. Doesn't get any rougher than that.
In Shaun of the Dead, he wouldn't have the opportunity to prove to his girlfriend that he's a worthy mate if the zombie apocalypse didn't happen.
What's the plan then?
Right, a cup of tea. Then we'll get the Sundays. Head down to Phoenix for a roast. Then chat in the pub for a bit. Then wander home, watch a bit of telly, go to bed.
Perfect.
I'll get the kettle on.
Can I have 2 sugars, please?
In We're the Millers, the plot is about David Clark, played by Jason Sudeikis, who gathers a group of misfits to pose as his family so he can make a drug run and pay off some very bad people that he owes money to.
Follow my lead.
Are you bringing anything back into the United States, sir?
Yeah.
Sir, are you bringing any contraband back into the United States? Sir?
David.
Habla inglés?
The story is about David Clark needing and finally finding a family.
I envy you, man. I do. Look at you. No wife, no kids, no responsibilities. Nothing. Yeah. You got nothing. You could disappear tomorrow and who'd even know? What I wouldn't give.
Yeah.
A guy who didn't realize he even needed one after forming a fake family to pull off this big drug deal and get across the border, David discovers he not only wants one, but needs a family.
And this is my family right here. Hi. This is my son Kenny, my daughter Casey, and this is my wife Sarah.
Nice to meet you.
We're the Millers. Pleasure. Thanks for saying hi.
The last image of the film is David's fake family, now in the witness protection program, sitting down for dinner in the backyard, surrounded by a white picket fence. An iconic image of family. In Booksmart, after Molly finds out that all of the popular kids also got into Ivy League schools, she's determined to drag her friend Amy to a party the night before graduation to prove that she is also fun.
This is not a time to celebrate. We have to go to a party tonight.
What?
Let's go to Nick's party.
Are you kidding? No, no way.
Amy, we only have one night left to have studied and partied in high school. Otherwise, we're just gonna be the girls that missed out.
Getting to the party is the plot. The story is Molly's and what she learns about herself on her crazy night out.
Christ.
Oh boy, the SS lit!
Before her journey, here's Molly near the beginning.
You know what? My badge is stuffed with diplomas. Soon it's gonna be stuffed with job offers and glowing profiles and commendations from the governor. So while you guys were all studying AP hand jobs, I was kicking ass and busting curves. And I'm gonna continue to do that at Yale next year. So I like my choices, and wherever you three are next year, I hope you do too.
I'm going to Yale too.
What?
After looking down on all her peers for most of the movie, the story is about Molly realizing that she's no better or smarter than her peers. And just like them, she has a lot to learn about life.
I was so scared of you. I felt like I had to prove that I was better than you. But really, I don't know any more than you guys. All I know is that we have a lot more to learn. Because this part's over. And that's so sad. But it was great, wasn't it? Things are never going to be the same, but it was perfect. And I may not have before, but I see you now. And you're all pretty great. Don't let college fuck it up.
And that realization is the bridge to being included in and accepted by her peers. Not something that Molly started off wanting, but something that she got, and that's her evolution, and she ends up in a happier place. Now let's talk about the story of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The irony of the story of Rick Dalton becoming a man is that he plays a man on TV. He's a decisive, confident character on TV, feared by other men.
You don't ever bring him in alive, now do you, Jake?
Not when there's 3 of them and 1 of me.
Rick Dalton is also a great actor. We see that. He kills it as the villain in the scenes with Timothy Olyphant and with the little girl. Even when he needs to call for a line, it's like the hardest line ever, especially for Rick's stutter.
Line? Go fetch her and tell her what?
Go fetch her and tell her I'll give her a fat $5 gold piece.
Right. Go fetch her and tell her I'll give her a fat $5 gold piece. She play her little chili pepper heart out, right?
Right.
Got it.
And then he kills it in his next performance.
I ain't gonna hurt her. I just want her to play the fiddle. Now go fetch her and tell her I'll give her a fat $5 gold piece. She play her little chili pepper heart out. Gone.
But being a great actor doesn't mean you're a great man or even a man. So don't confuse those two. It's just a fucking awesome nuance to his character. So the characters Rick Dalton plays on the silver screen are manly, but things behind the scenes are a little different. Let's take the flamethrower example. Here's Rick on screen using the flamethrower.
Anybody order fried sauerkraut? Burn, you Nazi bastards!
And here's Rick behind the scenes practicing with the flamethrower.
My fucking loose! Kristen, the Nazis there!
Oh, shit, that's enough. All right, that's too hot. Anything we can do about that heat?
Rick, it's a flamethrower.
Yeah.
And let's be clear, this movie is about Rick Dalton. Played by Leo DiCaprio, Rick is the character who changes from the beginning to the end. Cliff Booth, played by Brad Pitt, does not change. He's a man at the beginning, and if anything, he's even more of a badass man at the end. Rick is the one who undergoes a transformation from falling short of being a man to finally self-actualizing and becoming a full-grown man. With the help, of course, of his mentor, his man mentor, Cliff Booth.
Whoa. Hey.
I'm sorry about that.
Here, put these on. Don't cry in front of the Mexicans.
The opening of the movie tells us everything we need to know about the story and the relationship between Rick and Cliff.
So, Rick, explain to the audience exactly what it is a stunt double does.
Well, actors are required to do a lot of dangerous stuff. Cliff here is meant to help carry the load.
Is that how you describe your job, Cliff?
What, carrying his load? Yeah, it's about right.
We get the hint. Cliff Booth is the real man in this relationship.
Give me my glasses back.
Come get him, fucker.
All right, Audie Murphy, relax.
More specifically, he's Rick's mentor or role model of how to be a man. That will play out through the entire movie.
All right, 7:15 a.m.
7:15.
Out the door.
Out the door.
In the car.
All right, see you then.
Let's also be clear that we are talking about Quentin Tarantino's version of a man in the context of a late 60s, early 70s world. You know, we're talking about cowboy level of manhood here. Now, when I talk about being a man, let's define that term for a second. When I say macho or cowboy version of a man or being a man, what am I talking about? Well, one thing I'm talking about is, well, confidence for one. That's one key thing to being a man.
The Illustrated Man, Ray Bradbury's
Near the beginning of the movie, Rick Dalton has zero confidence.
Oh, hell, man, stay in L.A. Give it what for next pilot season.
No. I'm too insecure now to score come pilot season. Besides, Screen Gems ain't gonna have nothing good to say about me, you know that.
Shit, you made bounty law.
Nobody's gonna forgive me for that last season. No matter what I do, I'm always gonna be the horse's ass that got bounty law canceled because I wanted some fucking rinky-dink movie career.
So Rick finds himself stuck playing the heavy, the villain, in all these one-off episodes. He's not a star anymore, which the producer Marvin Schwartz, played by Al Pacino, warns him is the beginning of the end of his career.
And you're losing the fight?
Yeah, of course. I'm the heavy.
Oh, that's an old trick pulled by the networks. What the audience sees is Bingo Martin whipping Jake Cahill's ass. You see? Then next week, it's Ron Eli. Next week, it's Bob Conrad wearing his tight pants, kicking your ass.
Yeah.
Now, in another couple of years, playing punching bag to every swinging dick new to the network, that's gonna have a psychological effect on how the audience perceives you.
Right.
So, Rick, who's gonna kick the shit out of you next week? Mannix, the man from U.N.C.L.E., the girl from U.N.C.L.E.
And check out this moment at the beginning of their dinner. When they sit down, Al Pacino's character, Marvin Schwartz, pushes Rick's chair in as he's sitting down at Musso and Frank's.
I want to send you greetings from my wife, Mary Alice Schwartz.
Oh, well, that's nice. Thanks a lot. Wow.
Treating him like a woman or a child. Since when do men push chairs in for each other? Especially in 1969. So Marvin Schwartz pushes Rick to come to Italy and be a leading man again, although Rick isn't too keen on the idea because it feels like a step down. In the next scene, Rick cries to Cliff Booth about his predicament, not exactly taking it like a man.
Now, what's got you so upset, man?
Well, coming face to face with the failures that is your career ain't worth crying about, then I don't know what the fuck is.
Right, that guy in there turned you down?
No. He wants to help me get into Italian movies.
Well, then what's the problem?
I gotta do fucking Italian goddamn movies, that's a fucking problem! Come on.
Rick Dalton, in fact, is crying through much of the movie.
Fucking bullshit. You're a fucking miserable drunk.
Thankfully, Rick has his mentor Cliff to coddle and provide emotional support. Not unlike a mother taking care of her child before that child is able to become a man himself. Cliff is always dropping Rick off, and the imagery is not unlike dropping off a schoolboy at a high school. Rick has his satchel, he's all disheveled, and there's that great moment when Cliff Booth says to him,
"Hey! You're Rick fucking Dalton. Don't you forget it."
Kind of like a mother saying to her kid, "You're special. You're going to do great today." Back to Rick's dilemma after meeting with Marvin Schwartz at Musso and Frank's. You know, he's worried about doing these spaghetti westerns. He thinks it's a step down. He thinks his career's washed up. Cliff, his man mentor, approaches it with a little bit more of a practical perspective.
From where I'm standing, going to Rome to star in movies does not sound like the fate worse than death that you seem to think it is.
Come on now, you ever seen an Italian Western, huh? They're awful. It's a fucking farce.
Yeah, how many you seen? 1, 2?
I've seen enough, all right?
Cliff is doing what men do, trying to deal with the hand they're dealt versus sticking their head in the sand. Even the little girl on the set of Lancer is more of a man/grown-up than Rick. Here she is comforting Rick like a child.
It's okay, Caleb. It's okay. Sounds like a really sad book. Poor Easy Breezy.
Rick is reading a book about an aging cowboy. Sound familiar? And of course, Rick Dalton eventually does take Marvin Schwartz up on his offer and goes to Italy. He does it out of necessity, but this ends up being a crucial step in his journey of becoming a man. But before that, we have this wonderful visual juxtaposition between Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth, setting up their characters and very different levels of manliness. Cliff, if we haven't figured it out yet, is a manly man. He lives in the most manly place in the world, behind a movie theater, in a trailer, with a weight bench outside. He drinks beer from a six-pack, eats mac and cheese, has a big dog who is completely trained and 100% knows who the alpha male is.
Is that a wine?
While Rick lives alone, wears nice silk kimono robes, and is blending up whiskey sours, drinking them from some weird German stein with the lid. Not quite the manly scene that Cliff has going on.
I've had worse.
Let's chat about Cliff Booth for a second.
My name's Cliff. I'm Rick Dalton's stunt double.
I've already mentioned that Cliff is Rick's man mentor. Everything that Cliff does in the movie comes from a place of being a strong, manly man. He challenges Bruce Lee to a duel, for God's sake.
What I think is, you're a little man with a big mouth and a big chip. And I think you should be embarrassed to suggest you be anything more than a stain on the seat of Cassius Clay's trunks.
Brother, you're the one with the big mouth. And I would...
This scene is about two men working out a disagreement in a weirdly gentlemanly way. Even though it includes fighting, they work out the rules and stick to them. It's like a Western standoff, where even though it's a gunfight to the death, you trust the fellow man of honor to take the right amount of steps before turning and opening fire. Men can do that. Even in the most dire situations, they have some control.
How about a friendly contest? No punching in the face. 2 out of 3. Who puts who on the ground first? Nobody tries to hurt nobody. Just who ends up on their butt.
That's a great idea, Kato.
Another example of Cliff Booth proving himself to be a real man comes at the ranch. We watched Cliff in real time, assessing the situation like a man before taking action.
Hey, does George Spahn still own this ranch?
Yeah, George still owns it.
Does he still live here?
Yeah.
Does he still live right there?
Yeah.
Is he here now?
I guess so.
So George gave you all permission to be here?
Of course he did.
Cliff senses that something is wrong, but he's not sure. So he carefully assesses the situation before making his move.
Well, is there anything wrong with me saying hello to an old friend?
You can't see him right now.
Why can't I see him right now?
Because he's napping. This is his nap time.
The old Hawaiian guy's coming this way.
Okay, y'all, beat it. I'll handle this guy.
That great dramatic buildup of Cliff approaching his friend's house, slowly walking up the steps, eventually coming face to face with Squeaky, aka Red, Dakota Fanning's character, at the screen door. And we know she's a badass manly figure. We saw her barking orders to her crew in the room. We're already scared of her. It's yet another Western showdown. Man versus man. Cliff versus Red.
You the mama bear?
Can I help you?
I hope so. I'm an old friend of George's. Thought I'd stop and say hello.
That's very nice of you, but unfortunately you picked the wrong time. George is taking a nap right now.
Oh, that is unfortunate.
Yes, it is.
And in this moment, I believe Quentin Tarantino is asking the audience to ask themselves,
How do you know George?
how far would you push this situation?
When was the last time you saw George?
Oh, I'd say about 8 years ago.
Oh. I'm sorry, I didn't realize the two of you were so close. But when he wakes up, I'll let him know you came by.
I'd really like to say a quick hello now, while I'm here. Came a long ways. Don't know when I'll get back this way again.
Oh, I understand, but I'm afraid that's impossible.
Impossible? Why is that impossible?
Because me and George like to watch TV on Sunday night, FBI and Bonanza, but George finds it hard to keep awake that late, so I make him take a nap around now so I don't get gypped out of my George TV time.
Well, look, Red, I'm coming in there. With my own 2 eyes, I'm gonna get a good look at George. And this ain't stopping me.
Okay. Suit yourself.
And when they eventually come face to face,
You came to visit me. Now I gotta go back to sleep. I I gotta watch FBI tonight. I watch it with Squeaky. She gets all pissed off if I fall asleep.
And although he definitely feels something shady is going on, enough of Red's story checks out that Cliff is not going to take any further action. But he's still clearly very suspicious. On the way out, we don't really even have to talk about him kicking that guy's ass for slashing his tire. That's a manly move. Cliff is such a man, he may or may not have killed his nagging wife.
The shittiest weather on the shittiest boat with the shittiest person.
I realize that's going way too far, but she was a horrible nag.
All said it, he's a fucking loser, and I didn't believe him. So I guess I'm the fucking idiot.
And now you're not gonna talk to me? What, you don't feel like fighting?
Well, I feel like fucking fighting, because I've been up here by myself for 4 hours on this fucking shithole of a boat.
And by the way, the harpoon incident at the end of the day is a Pulp Fiction reference.
Well, you gotta have an opinion. I mean, do you think that God came down from heaven and stopped that?
What the fuck's happening?
Oh,
man.
shit, man. Oh, man, I shot Marvin in the face.
Why the fuck you do that?
Well, I didn't mean to do it. It was an accident.
When Vincent Vega accidentally shoots Marvin in the head, it's a speed bump that makes his gun go off.
Hey, the car ain't hit no motherfucking bump.
Here, with Cliff Booth on the boat, he's holding a harpoon gun pointed at his wife when we hear an ocean swell.
4 hours on this fucking shithole of a boat.
Now, we cut right away after that moment, but it makes you wonder whether there was a Pulp Fiction-like accident.
The dude killed his fucking wife. Come on, man. You don't believe that old shit, do you?
I don't think we're really supposed to think that Cliff Booth killed his wife in cold blood. Back to Rick Dalton. A man can control himself, and Rick can't. Rick has a drinking problem to the point where he's crashing his car and getting DUIs. When Cliff drops Rick off at the beginning, he asks Rick,
You gonna need me for anything else?
No. I got a lot of lines to learn for tomorrow. Shit.
But come the next day, he's a hungover mess. To freshen up, Rick drowns his face in ice water before meeting the director, and when he shakes the director's hand, Rick apologizes for his wet hand. What is the director's response?
Sorry about the wet hand.
Oh, don't worry about it. I'm used to it with you. I just want you to know I'm the one who cast you, and I could not be more delighted that you're doing this.
Well, thank you, Sam. I appreciate it.
So this is not a new issue. Rick is a drunk, and everyone knows it. And then Rick has a temper tantrum over his stuttering and drinking in his trailer, like a toddler.
You're sitting there like a fucking baboon. 8 fucking whiskey, sir. I couldn't stop at fucking 3 or 4 out of 8. Why? You're a fucking alcoholic. You fucking drink too much, huh? Every fucking night. That's it. That's fucking it. That's fucking it. You stop drinking right now. All right? Make a promise to yourself you're gonna stop fucking drinking.
So Rick goes to Italy and starts to build his confidence. Cliff was right. It's a good move. He's a star again, yes, in a smaller market, but he's back in the spotlight and is loving it. He even gets married to an Italian brunette bombshell. And getting married, that's a manly thing. That's a big decision that men make. Then Rick Dalton flies back to Los Angeles with his wife. And the way he's shot, the way Quentin Tarantino shoots that sequence, is extremely similar to the way Polanski and Sharon Tate are shot in the opening credits. This confident, self-actualized badass. The shots of the feet walking down LAX. The sunglasses, hand in hand with his woman. Rick is starting to gain confidence. In the whole movie, as you'll remember, Rick is dying to be a part of the upper tier world where Polanski and Tate reside. He's not part of that confident world, but he's dying to be.
Discovering numero uno, the new thing in colognes for men. In all the world.
But now Rick has been to Italy. He's feeling great and confident. He's married. I mean, this This seems like a new Rick Dalton. He's gaining confidence. So much so, he's ready to let his man mentor Cliff go. He's a little nervous about it in this scene, but he just sits down and tells Cliff,
With the new wife, I can't afford you anymore, Cliff. You know, so I think the plan is to sell the house and buy a condo in Toluca Lake, bank the money, you know, live off it, that type of thing. Hopefully I score come next pilot season.
It's a good plan.
Cliff, of course, takes it like a man. And in that conversation, Rick tells Cliff, I'm going to go out for pilot season. He doesn't blink twice, says, I'm going out for pilot season. Well, that's a different Rick Dalton.
Oh, hell, man, stay in L.A. Give it what for next pilot season?
No. I'm too insecure now to score come pilot season.
So is Rick a man yet? We don't know. But he's certainly changing and getting confidence and feeling better about himself and his situation. Back to story and plot. In movie structure, once you're able to figure out the story of a movie, you should be able to pinpoint what the climax is going to be. The climax of the movie is the hero going to get what they need or want? Are they going to succeed or fail? So if the story is Rick Dalton becoming a man, then the peak of the movie should be that question. Is he or is he not a man? Back to Gravity.
I had a daughter.
The story is Dr. Stone getting over her daughter's death and finding a will to live. So the question is she going to find a will to live? And that question is at the heart of her hallucination of George Clooney's character. And this is the peak of the movie.
You can just shut down all the systems, turn out all the lights, just close your eyes and tune out everybody.
Here, he turns off the lights and oxygen in the shuttle. But really, it's Dr. Stone shutting off the oxygen and giving up to kill herself.
What's the point of living? Your kid died. Doesn't get any rougher than that. But still, it's a matter of what you do now. If you decide to go, then you gotta just get on with it. Sit back, enjoy the ride. You gotta plant both your feet on the ground and start living life.
How did you get here?
I'm telling you, it's a hell of a story. Hey, Ryan.
What?
It's time to go home.
Taking another look at this scene, we realize this is the moment Dr. Stone, once and for all, has to decide whether or not she wants to live or die. Dramatized through her hallucination, Dr. Stone turns the corner and makes the decision to live and survive, turning the oxygen back on in the shuttle. From this moment on, Dr. Stone is determined to get back to Earth.
You keep dropping and you're gonna kiss the atmosphere. But not without me, because you're my last ride.
And Dr. Stone does get back to Earth. Now reborn with a will to live.
You gotta plant both your feet on the ground and start living life.
How did you get here?
But not all movies have happy endings. So the question of whether or not our hero is going to get what they need, or whether they're going to succeed or fail, that question shouldn't be answered until the climax of the movie. And we're the Millers, nearing the climactic peak of this movie. The guy who needs and wants a family is about to lose his shot at having one.
Whoa, where the hell are you going?
Casey, where do you...
Hey!
Yes, this is an imposter family put together by David to pull off a drug deal. But at this point in the movie, they are starting to become a family nonetheless.
We have to stay together. Come on.
Why? Because we're a family, huh? You want to spend Christmas together? Help me with my homework, Mom? Please, this whole thing has been a total joke.
The question here at the climax is David going to get what he desperately needs, a family, or is he going to screw it all up?
You know what?
What?
You all deserve each other.
He'll come back. Right?
For suspense, it sure looks like he's going to screw it all up by running away.
Okay. Let's get there. Whew. Quiet.
But in the end, David Clark does the right thing and turns the RV around to come back to be with his new family.
I have returned. So here's what happened, okay? I'm out on the open road, just by myself, right? And I'm just beelining it to a huge payday. And then I start to realize something. It's boring in here. So then I thought, well, you know what you gotta do, dummy? You gotta turn this RV around and go back and get those dipsticks. I'm just kidding. You're not dipsticks. But what do you say we go home? Come on.
If stories are told correctly, the audience shouldn't know which way it's all going to turn out until that final suspenseful moment. In Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Quentin Tarantino does an amazing job. We don't know how it's going to turn out. We're getting mixed signals with Rick Dalton. Has this guy evolved from a crying schoolboy to a confident man like the ones he plays on TV? Or not? And that is the function of Tex and the Manson hippies. To give Rick Dalton his final test to determine whether or not Rick has fully become a man.
Fucking private road.
So how will Rick Dalton fare in his final test? Well, we don't know. And that's the beauty of Quentin Tarantino's storytelling. We're getting mixed signals here at the end. When Rick first confronts Tex and the girls in the car outside of his house, when he just hears the car running, he goes out there, he's drinking margaritas from the pitcher, he's wearing his silk robe, but he's also being pretty manly and direct and aggressive with them. So we're kind of getting a mixed bag here. We're not sure what's going on with his evolution. Later that night, when Tex and the women break into the house, Cliff Booth handles them exactly the way we expect.
Yeah. You are...
I'm the devil, and I'm here to do the devil's business.
No, I was dumber than that. Something like Rex.
God, shoot him, Tex!
Tex!
Even though he's tripping on acid, putting him at a disadvantage, Cliff takes care of business. Cliff defends the home, taking out two of the attackers with a nice assist from Francesca.
How dare you come into my house, motherfucker!
But Sadie gets away while Cliff passes out due to his knife wound, leaving Rick alone.
What the fuck?
So when Sadie runs out with Tex's gun and falls into the pool, firing into the air, she's clearly still a threat. And so the final question of the movie becomes, how is Rick Dalton going to react? Well, it doesn't look good at first. He squirms out of the pool, then runs away, almost waddling like a scared duck. Is Rick running to hide? It sure looks like it. It looks like he's running to the pool house to hide under a blanket or something like that. Seems like Rick may not have grown as much as we thought, but in the final suspenseful moment of the movie, Rick emerges from the pool house with the flamethrower that was too hot to handle before and confidently eliminates the threat in the pool. Rick takes action, like a man, like his mentor, Cliff.
Francesca!
So Rick, in the end, proves that he has become a man like the characters he plays on TV. After being stabbed, Cliff is such a man that he tells Rick...
No use waiting in some waiting room. Why don't you go lie naked with that fine creature? Come visit me tomorrow. Bring bagels.
Rick waves goodbye to Cliff, his man mentor who he no longer needs, but of course will always respect.
You're a good friend, Cliff.
I tried.
And then Rick has the final encounter with his neighbors.
You're Rick Dalton, right?
Yeah. I'm Rick Dalton. Live next door.
Oh, I know.
Who have represented a world Rick has always wanted to be a part of, but couldn't because he didn't have the confidence.
No shit.
He does now.
Is everybody okay?
Well, the fucking hippies aren't. That's for goddamn sure. Yeah. But I'm fine. You know, my wife's fine. We're just a little shook up is all.
Oh my God, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Jay, honey, is everything all right?
Everything's okay now, honey. But some hippies broke into the house next door.
Oh my God. Oh, that's terrifying. Is everybody okay?
I'm talking to your next door neighbor about it right now.
Rick Dalton?
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, well, hello, neighbor. Is everybody okay?
Yes, Sharon. Everybody's fine.
Are you okay?
Well, yes, I am. Thank you for asking that.
Rick, would you like to come up to the house for a drink and meet my other friends?
Yeah, sure.
Over the intercom, after Sharon invites him upstairs for a drink, the gates open for Rick to ascend to a new existence as a self-actualized, confident man. Finally ready for the next level of Hollywood, where machismo in the late 60s is king.
Nice to meet you, huh?
J.C. Ring.
Hey, pleasures.
Yeah.
Pleasure, Jay. Pleasure's all mine.
Sounds like you had a hell of a night.
You have no idea.
Ironic that near the beginning of the movie, Rick Dalton told Cliff Booth that he was only one pool party away from being in the next Polanski movie.
Here I am, flat on my ass, and who I got living next door to me? The director of Rosemary's fucking Baby, that's who. Polanski's the hottest director in town right now, probably the world. He's my next door fucking neighbor. Shit. I mean, who knows what could happen? I could be one pool party away from starring a new Polanski movie.
Not exactly the pool party Rick envisioned. At the end of the movie, like me, you may have realized we just watched a Western within a Western. A genre where becoming a man or standing up for oneself is not uncommon. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood does it brilliantly, working mostly on an unconscious level, as we watch Rick Dalton go from a crying, insecure mess to a married, confident leading man who, alongside his best friend and mentor Cliff Booth, thwart an attack from none other than the Manson family. That's some man shit right there. So that's my story analysis of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, written and directed by Quentin Tarantino, one of my personal heroes. The movie, I truly believe, is a cinematic masterpiece. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Steve Wright.
There's an old piano and they play it hot behind the green door. Don't know what they're doing, but they laugh a lot behind the green door. Wish they'd let me in so I can find out what's behind the green door.